So that trend, I think Office caught up pretty early in the market.
And I
And
think because of that, they have now become the largest
yeah,
flexible workspace or the co-working
in
space
India,
provider
around
in
9 to
India.
10% market
Yeah.
share that the company holds. So I think a lot of small things Office was able to
Mhm.
do right, and that's why I think it has been able to become the number one flex office provider in the country. The revenue was also grown significantly higher at 70% CAGR.
The main thing which is has led to Office's success is its
Hi guys, we're back
hello.
with another podcast this week, and interestingly, this week we're talking about something that we can relate very much because I think all this past year or so we've been working from this co-working space based on Baroda. And I think talking with the people over here and also the owner, we got interested in the whole co-working space.
Co-working segment.
And then we realized there's also a company listed very recently. So it's known as Office, not the OWFICE. It's AWFIS.
Office.
Very innovative. And yeah, so I think basically we decided to research on the company and then thought might as well let you guys also know through our podcast and all. So uh, what
Yeah.
what
So I think
intrigued us about the office?
generally, I think as you mentioned, we might be relating with this particular company because we have been working since the past 1 year in this particular co-working space. So, we just wanted to know how does
Hmm.
this particular business work? I mean, what are the, variables which one should track, or, how should we look at this company? So, and we only had one option currently in the listed markets at least by the name of Office. So we thought we'll just, do some
Hmm.
research on this blog, on this particular company, and maybe write a blog and do a podcast on this. So yeah, so I think what's interesting about Office is, so it started in I think around 2014 or 15,
Okay.
and it,
From
the,
Bangalore, Mumbai, any
I think it started from, oh shit, I forgot about this.
great, very good research.
No, no, no.
Yeah, so I think most probably it would have been in Bangalore or Mumbai. And I think what Office did was it saw the potential very early because in 2014, co-working was not that much of
That
a
culture wasn't
well-known.
only
Yeah,
there,
I
yeah.
mean, of course, WeWork was there in global markets, but in India, it was a very early and even WeWork, I think when it was present in India earlier, it came onto in metro cities only. So, but Office did something different. They tried to capture the tier one, tier two cities because I think that's where the real potential is. Because India being a very highly populated country, so even in the tier two, tier three cities, there are so many workers. Unlike in other developed market where the most prominent workforce is in your metro cities. So that trend, I think, Office caught up pretty early in the market,
And I
and
think because of that, they have now become the largest
yeah,
flexible workspace or the co-working
in
space
India,
provider
around
in
9 to
India.
10% market
Yeah.
share that the company holds. So pretty, and also I think there are so many unorganized players as well in this industry. So that long-term tailwind is also in the favor of formalization of economy and formalization of this sector. So we'll see about that. It's a pretty far-sighted view as of now. But what Office did again differently was they didn't focus on only
Premium clientele,
premium
yeah.
clientele. They also try to cater to a wide spectrum of businesses such as your small MSMEs, entrepreneur, even the solopreneurs for that matter. So that also they started from a small team and then they slowly try to capture the large enterprises. So I think that's one of the key models that the
Yeah,
company
so
follows.
just one thing I just would want to add to that was, and unlike, in metro cities, all these big companies, they usually come up with huge co-working spaces. But what Office
Yeah,
used to do was, as you mentioned, they cater to small teams as well, medium-sized teams, and then large. So they also used to try and make their office spaces, they wouldn't go overboard with the size of the office space. They would,
okay.
try and construct
Very small
small
setups,
but
like things. Yeah.
sufficient enough for a company,
Hmm.
or for individual workers to come and, get
Compact,
their,
yes,
yeah.
spacious, very
So
very good.
that way, and because of
Hmm.
that, they were able to get better realizations also, because छोटा
Okay.
जगह है भाई, obviously seat space हो ही
Optimization
जाएगा.
was higher in
हाँ,
that. Okay, got it.
एक वो था, and then the main thing which is has led to Office's success is its business model, which I think is different than what other people or other players usually do in this industry. So there's this business model called managed aggregation model. So basically, I think there are two ways, you can set up a co-working space. Either you rent out a place from a
Hmm.
landlord, pay him monthly, yearly rentals, fixed rentals, and it won't depend on your occupancy. अगर occupancy कम है, मैं फिर भी fixed rental दे ही रहा हूँ.
Hmm.
उतना मेरे को
Got
cost
it.
bear करना ही पड़ेगा. Second is this managed aggregation model, wherein what the co-working space owner can do is, suppose I come to you, you are the landowner. मैं
Okay.
आया, मैंने बोला चल यार साथ में एक co-working space खड़ा करते हैं यहाँ पे, तेरे पास जमीन है, मैं ऑपरेट करूंगा इसको.
Okay.
बट इसमें कैच ये है कि वी विल बोथ बेयर द केपेक्स.
Okay.
ठीक है, तो आई थिंक इन दिस पर्टिकुलर मॉडल 50 से 90% ऑफ द केपेक्स इज बेयर्ड बाय द landlord.
But then what is my benefit in that case?
You get a share out of the profits.
Okay, so
Basically,
I will share with you in terms of
yeah,
risk as well as the reward.
reward.
Okay, got it.
And
Yeah.
basically for me,
So
what the
for office
advantage
खर्चा
is,
कम हो जाएगा.
हाँ,
Hmm.
so basically मेरे
Understood.
लिए वो है कि upfront मेरा cost
Yeah.
बैठ गया,
Hmm. Got it.
rentals जो आ रहे हैं, it will always
Hmm.
depend on मेरा
Also
occupancy
occupancy
कैसा आ
wise
रहा है.
जितना आएगा पैसा that
हाँ,
only I have to share with the landlord. Okay, so it's like an asset light model.
asset model,
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
So
Hmm.
because that is why what usually happens is इसके वजह से office has been easily been able to scale their business at a pretty decent pace as
So I
compared to
think
its
the model
competitors.
might as well might be existent before Office as well. It's just that Office was successful in replicating that model on a larger scale,
Yeah, and
and
I
that's
think
why I think the
majority of
yeah.
their business comes from this model
Okay,
as of now,
okay,
as compared to its competitors
got it.
like Davex or
Hmm.
InfoSpace.
Hmm. Understood.
Yeah.
So I think that is the strategy that the office has followed. Apart from that, I think there are other few small business segment of also of the company, such as they also built an integrated business ecosystem, with multiple revenue streams, such as Office Transform is one of those few. So it kind of design and build division. So it offers end-to-end solution, and it's in their own center as well, and it can also create for you as well on
External
a on
clients
like
also.
like an
Yeah.
on demand basis.
So basically customized,
Customized,
अपने आप पे जैसा
yeah,
वो
managed
IndyWheels का है
workspace, yeah,
वैसा.
managed workspaces, yeah, so sort of like that. So I think this has also seen a tremendous growth. Apart from that, the premium client that we earlier talked about, other player focused, Office did not completely disregard them. They also have services for them as well, known as Office
Gold and
Gold and
Office
Office
Elite.
Elite.
So
So
basically वही कि you
yeah,
get better amenities, high
there
end.
of course the
हाँ,
prices of will be
prices will
higher.
also be higher.
So, but yeah, if MNC or any other big corporate looking for a slightly differentiated business office workspace, they also offer the same. And the aggressive expansion that we talked about in tier two
Tier 2
cities is
cities.
definitely one of the very underserved market, and Office was able to capture that market very good.
Yeah, and also one interesting fact about Office is that, so I think 60% of its operational seats are sold directly. मतलब ऑफिस खुद बेचता है जाके. They don't really bring in a third party or a broker.
No intermediary.
Yeah. So because this particular thing
Hmm.
has been in the range of 62 to 60% from FY21 से FY24, ये particular range में ही रहा है.
Okay.
Because of this, what happens is ऑफिस के पास ज्यादा कंट्रोल रहता है ओवर देयर सीट्स. मतलब कि कोई ब्रोकर के थ्रू
Pricing
आया है,
control, yeah.
प्राइसिंग वाइज भी, और सब. एंड बाकी सब में ये नहीं, अकॉर्डिंग टू मैनेजमेंट दे हैव द हाईएस्ट मिक्स ऑफ
Direct sales.
डायरेक्ट सेल्स, एंड नॉट इन दिस इंडस्ट्री इटसेल्फ एज ऑफ नाउ. एक ये भी एक डिफरेंशिएटर है उनके.
So I think a lot of small things Office was able to do right, and that's why I think it has been able to become the number one flex office provider in the country. But I think this was the more or less story part. But I think we have to also look at the
The
number
numbers कि भाई
because
हाँ, the story convert into numbers or not.
because I think only recently it turned profitable in
Yeah.
terms of PAT level. I think operationally it was profitable
It was
earlier,
profitable
but I
earlier.
think from FY25 only the company started to generate profits, in terms of the net profit level. But I think the revenue was also grown significantly higher at 70% CAGR uh, compared to the I think general industry numbers as well from FY21 to FY24. And most of this revenue was driven by the seat addition and the aggressive expansion that the company was doing. Apart from that, that is also I think is expected to continue. Of course, the now the base will be higher, so the number might not look that correctly. But I think 30% CAGR is what company expect in the addition of number of seats.
But that is also good as considering your
Yeah,
point कि
yeah.
भाई हाँ base
But
effect आएगा.
industry, to give the context, industry is growing at 15%. So it's
Basically
almost
double.
yeah double the industry rate. And similarly, the market share will also increase because industry is growing at X rate. You are growing at 2X rate. The market share is also expected to increase from 9 to 10% to around 12 to 13% by the next calendar year, that is
Mhm.
CY26. So another good performance is expected from Office. And I think the model that we discussed, that managed aggregation model, the shared model between the landowner and the office, that will be the primary focus of the company in terms of addition. So 75% of the new addition will be under that model. And currently, I think around 60%,
Um,
65% of the total seat portfolio is into this managed aggregation model. That will also increase to around 70 to over 70% by FY27. That is. So this asset light model has really worked for Office, and I think they are trying to kind of double down on that going forward as well. Because another benefit is that the payback period is very short in this marriage aggregation model. So only around 26 months it takes for any new center to get profitable, as compared to the 53 to 54 months. So that is also again half the payback period.
half the payback period,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the capex per seat for the company also reduces by 30 to 50% in the rate. Of course, it depends on the location, it depends on the variety of factors.
And
But
what
yeah,
terms do they negotiate with the landowner
exactly,
as well?
exactly. So that range is pretty very wide in terms of that. But any cost saving is good in terms of the P&L. And consequently the net seat addition, of course the price will also is expected to increase year on year, just a basic inflation. So because of that, the revenue is expected to grow at 36% CAGR over FY24 to FY27. And the increase in MS seats, of course, will also help in terms of the EBITDA margins, and that will also expected to grow from 32% as of 9 month FY25
FY25,
to around 38%.
38%. Yeah.
And revenue बढ़ रहा है, EBITDA margins भी बढ़ रहा है, तो EBITDA is also expected to grow at a higher rate. So yeah, so number wise also, I think once now that it had turned profitable, it looks very lucrative, because in last year, financial year 24, the company and the industry itself was, I think, still fighting with the onset of COVID and its related.
Yeah, because I think that must have disrupted the
Yeah,
market a bit,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, so
Hmm.
because of that, it wasn't able to turn profitable until now. However, that has changed now, and with profitability, I think return ratios also improve. So both, I think, ROC and ROE are expected to grow from 9 to 10% to over 20% by the next 2 3 years. So number wise also, I think Office is, I think,
Looking good,
seeing
yeah.
very good. It has done a tremendous job. But again, numbers now might look good, but what about the number which is everyone seen on their uh, mobile phone or screen? That is the number of the price and the valuation. So how can one and basically look at this particular, because there is no comparable, right, in terms of valuation. So that is also a very big question.
So basically, companies like Office who usually have, heavy asset base or high debt levels because if they are doing aggressive expansion,
Hmm.
they'll obviously need high debt, as long as and अभी recently profitable हुआ है तो obviously उनको cash cash burn किया ही होगा इन लोगों ने तो debt ज़्यादा चाहिए होगा तो basically such companies are valued using the EV to EBITDA multiple
Okay.
instead of P अपना जो
Hmm.
commonly use होता है क्योंकि
Because your asset base is higher, your
हाँ
debt profile is higher, so that EBITDA के बाद the two
जो
main
भी आते
component,
हैं फाइनेंस
depreciation
कॉस्ट और
and finance
डेप्रिसिएशन
cost, that will
बहुत
be
ज़्यादा
also be higher.
दिखेगा तो
Okay.
उसकी वजह से हमेशा तुम्हारा नेट प्रॉफिट और जो अर्निंग्स है
Hmm.
वो
I think
गिव यू
it's
द
sort
ट्रू
of like
पिक्चर
hospitals or even
होटल्स
hotels business.
या
Yeah.
So
Correct.
basically, we can look at
The
office
EBITDA and
also
then EV. Yeah, of
in
course.
such a manner
Hmm.
itself. Yeah. तो क्योंकि
Okay.
कोर प्रॉफिट मतलब फिर वो सिर्फ उन्हीं उसी प्रॉफिट पे फोकस करेगा बिफोर कंसिडरिंग ऑल द depreciation or all the finance expenses which is undertaken,
Non-operating expense.
non-operating expenses. So that is why we should be looking at office
Hmm.
using this particular multiple. And I think so. We also did a basic valuation check. So I think kuch around it is currently trading at around 10x of its EV to EBITDA multiple.
Okay.
But same again, there are no listed flexible co-working,
Hmm.
flexible workspaces, and so there is
Yeah.
no benchmark for comparison.
So that
But
scarcity
problem,
premium
yeah,
also is always going to be
बट
there.
प्रॉब्लम इसकी भाई हाई ग्रोथ इंडस्ट्री है और अभी प्रोस्पेक्ट्स तो अच्छे दिख रहे कि भाई हाँ और आ रहा है एक्सपेंशन और आ रहा है तो इट माइट बी पॉसिबल कि सस्टेन भी करे या अब इसमें मेन
Hmm.
गेम वो हो जाता है कि ये एग्जीक्यूट कैसे करता है
Yeah.
इफ दे आर एबल टू एग्जीक्यूट दे माइट सस्टेन दिस वैल्यूएशन और
And
इवन
it's
गेट
a
अ प्रीमियम
in service industry also one another factor to consider is that the brand value matters a lot
हाँ
because किसी भी एक सेंटर पे कहीं पे भी कुछ इशू हो गया that might reflect on the whole brand on the reputation and all so and consequently the perception about the brand and the valuation in that term but I think just to give a context hotels I think trades at around 20 times EV EBITDA the industry average this is half and that, but of course, hotels has a lot more tailwind in terms of the increasing disposable income and all those things. So it's a
and
consumption theme. This is not a
demand
consumption.
and supply gap
Yeah,
also being
exactly.
present right
Hmm.
now
And this is a totally different industry, but very remote idea on that front. So yeah, so EV to EBITDA is the basically the way to go
basically
for
the
the
way to go
valuation.
for
Okay,
it.
got it. Got it. And
So yeah, but I think valuation wise we discussed कि हाँ भाई high growth potential है
hmm,
सब कुछ है but then there are certain events by
hmm,
unexpected events or something which comes out of the box for the company के भाई which immediately gives a trigger upwards or downwards to the stock
hmm.
price of the company. So ऐसे positive triggers what according to you can be some positive triggers for
I
office
think for a office service provider, one big trigger is कल जाके एप्पल आ गया इंडिया में एंड दे से कि वी आर गोइंग टू टेक द ऑफिस
office.
एज अ
हाँ.
very high unlikely but it's
But
just an example so might be apple might be another mnc anyone coming with a big in terms of a long term contract with office so that can be a significant positive other than that the expansion that we're expecting that it will grow at the double at the industry rate but it can even try to see the higher potential and higher maybe opportunities in some areas which it did not foresee earlier
and
so
maybe
that
they
can
get more
also
aggressive.
yeah more aggressive in that terms of course profitable aggressive not in terms of
Yeah.
again going that and maybe I don't know there is also a chance of maybe in terms of industry consolidation so maybe acquisition company doing acquisition or company get
Getting
acquired any potential way that can also be very positive in terms of but I think as long as the industry is growing at a very high rate this seems very unlikely as of
unlikely.
now but yeah not, anything can happen
Can be
it's
possible.
capitalism driven India. But I think that was about the positive. Any on the negative side,
So
you can
negatives is also
possibly.
possible, So I think currently abhi occupancy has been stable at around
Hmm,
71 to
correct.
72% levels. So any sharp decrease in the occupancy again some ऐसा COVID type
COVID
event
type, which
happens
is yeah, that
या
is a
कुछ हो
very.
गया.
Hmm.
But again so that again will
But that is
start
very.
very unlikely. But then that will immediately impact the stock price.
Hmm,
कि भाई जैसे again it will start because a drop in occupancy will lead to a drop in revenue and lead to a drop in margin क्योंकि cost तो इनको
correct.
bear करना ही पड़ेगा then I think and again same competition जैसे है अभी कोई
Hmm,
अगर क्या बोलते existing real estate का जो player हो गया
correct.
if they can also enter the industry because they are always into already into commercial
They
real
have the
estate के
place.
अंदर
They
already
have
have
the
the
buildings.
everything there if
Hmm,
they enter और उनका नेटवर्क ज़्यादा बेटर हो सकता है फ्रॉम ऑफिस एज बिकॉज उनका लैंड बैंक भी उतना
hmm.
है if they enter and then they aggressively price their seats also at a very lower level cut कर रहे हैं मार्जिन जिससे हो रहा है
To
तो
gain the market
to
share,
gain the
basically.
market share so yeah that can be possible जिससे ऑफिस के भी प्राइसिंग प्रेशर पे पावर आ सकता है तो
Hmm.
yeah I think ये सब है
But I think it's a part of the business, and I
हाँ
think it's already in terms of the factoring. or everything goes according to the business as it goes forward. So, but yeah, I think our job is to enlighten you guys about those factors. And again, this is not any financial advice or any stock recommendation. We strictly advise you to consult your financial advisor before investing. This is just for educational
Educational
purposes
purposes.
and entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think to wrap up, I think we have talked about the office business model, office, the differentiation that the office is successfully able to do compared to its
Competitors.
competitors, and how to look at the valuation, do number supports, and all those things. So I think, of course, competition, execution risk will always be there in any industry. But I think as long as the growth, the strong growth, and the industry-wide as well as the company-wise,
Company wise.
that stays in place, I think the near-term prospect looks a bit
Bright.
brighter.
And for long term, you guys need to
Yeah,
track its execution.
yeah,
So yeah.
execution, that is will be the very important key. So yeah, I think that's a wrap about office from the office. And with that lame joke, we are bidding you goodbye. Have like, share, subscribe,
Subscribe.
and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.